That gave way. Just want to make sure it's still going. Also, the Bible says that we are fearfully and wonderfully made. Yep. Who's that? And all of my closest friends, well, most of them, apart from those girls, I think, were/are autistic. We are not dumb. We are just wired differently. And because we don't fit in, we often get treated like trash. But we are not dumb. We are fearfully and wonderfully made. In Psalm 139, verse 13 to 14 says that. Also, not only that, but high-functioning autism, then known as Asperger's syndrome, got put on the autistic spectrum in 2013. So when I found out that I had the high majority of the symptoms for Asperger's syndrome, now known as high-functioning autism, when I was 26, and I came to the full acceptance of it within the past couple of months, and I am 34 years old, and I know what strengths come with it, and now it's time to focus on them and develop them in order to better my life and the life of others within employment, relationships, and more. Good night. Oh yeah, and I don't understand why the God of the Bible punishes the children and the grandchildren and the great-grandchildren for the sins of the father. It definitely makes more sense to me than paying for your bad decisions in the next life or living out the consequences of your positive decisions in the next life. I give it to you that much. Because we don't even know if we had or we will have those lives. It could be just our DNA. We carry the DNA of our ancestors in our bodies. So all those dreams and visions of the past lives might be just that. Memories of our ancestors that are in our bodies. Anyway, it's 3 o'clock in the morning now. Wednesday, the 19th of October 2022. That's when I wrote it to. Different time now. Alright, 8 minutes left. Then I'll just have to, to puck it out before, so it's going to have to do this while. It's another 7.5 minutes now. Why are we created this way? Why are we created this way? Why are we created this way? Let's start off this chapter with the positive stuff. I'm sure that there are figures that represent autism within every spiritual practice. But I was raised in Christianity, and 3 examples of autism within the Bible. I mean, if I really look into it, wow. Actually, if I just looked into it, I only just started. As in really started looking into it this week, because I have looked into it in years gone by, but I hadn't accepted my autism until recently, within the last couple of months. And I have only looked into autism in the Bible within the past 3 days. And I have accepted my autism within the past 2 months. And aim to use it as a strength. Because throughout my whole entire life, I have denied and tried to overcome my autism as a result of God healing me from this disease. But if something has stuck with you since birth because you were born with it, and it has its strengths and weaknesses, then may I suggest, or should I say, I'll just actually tell you that it's not a disease. It's just a neurological wiring of the brain. And it has its strengths and weaknesses. And you should focus on and perfect your strengths and utterly minimize the risk to the utmost possibility that you can when it comes to your weaknesses. So the first 3 characters that come to mind in regards to autistic tendencies within the Bible are Jonathan, David's loyal friend, Jonathan's son Mephibosheth, and Samson, the Herculean hero. The Herculean hero. Jonathan was willing to do the right thing. He knew that God called David to be king, but in a biological sense, He was next in line to be king, and his father wanted to kill David because he wanted his son Jonathan to be king. And King Saul even tried to kill Jonathan because Jonathan kept on standing up for his friend David. Eventually his predictions came true and David became king. Jonathan's son Mephibosheth, who was also autistic, severely autistic, received his grandfather Saul's inheritance and lived in the king's palace alongside David. And as for Samson, he took out heaps of enemies. Now, tell me that God cannot make your life have a lot of meaning and purpose to your life. May you and your loved ones be blessed in every single way. It's the end of chapter 2. Now we're on to chapter 3. 4 minutes left. Then I'll upload, then I'll do the rest. I wrote 2 chapters today. And now we're doing this. Chapter 3. Every being has a purpose. Every being has a purpose. Every being has a purpose. You have a purpose. I have a purpose. You have a purpose. It's your job to find your purpose and to live it, because it gives you meaning. And without meaning, your life is dead. You need to fix this. You need to fix this. You need to live a life of purpose. Otherwise, it's meaningless. Meaningless, and that's where anger, confusion, frustration, depression, and even suicidal thoughts come into play, and sometimes increase, like as an ultra increase. It also decreases as an ultra decreases. Also, make sure that your purpose or purposes are internal and not external. Your value is internal and not external. The outcome of your work is both internal and external. Internal as in, if people reject you and want nothing to do with you because of your purpose, then screw them. Others are indifferent to it, whilst others will be or are being vehemently blessed by you, living out your purpose in the pure essence of what you are. This way, no one can steal your value. And your value is in the fact that you are human. Also, everybody has skills and abilities. Skills and abilities that other people don't have. When people turn on you, let them go. Misunderstandings happen. But people who don't accept you for you must go. Now, this doesn't mean that they shouldn't encourage you to keep improving and to make the most out of what you have. Ecclesiastes chapter 3, Ecclesiastes chapter 4, Psalms 3, Psalms 4, Proverbs chapter 3 and Proverbs chapter 4. Unconditional love, genuine love with only 3 requirements: reciprocation, authenticity, and loyalty. God's love is unconditional. The universe's love is unconditional. And my love was unconditional until I came to the realization that this planet is surrounded by chaotic darkness. And there is a lot of demonic forces alongside angelic forces operating in this world. There is good and there is evil. And there is no in-between. Because the in-between is usually, the majority of the time, a slippery slope that's too slippery for the high majority, and then they slide to the dark side. Now, I'm a man who likes concerts and dancing and having a good time in that. But what I mean by the dark side, or actually I should really say the evil side, because darkness is not evil. It's just the void where change on an individual starts. So it starts with the individuation process and leads into a fully individualized person, whilst the light side begins with knowledge, or should I say societal knowledge, on a spiritual level, because that's in reference to a communal setting.